Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of Lunch Table Podcast, and praise be, we're going to review another episode of The Handmaid's Tale, episode 8. And if you guys make it to the end, please remember to like and also check out our other playlists. We're currently reviewing Andor every week and Handmaid's Tale until its end. Dylan, this was an interesting episode, kind of depressing and have a little bit of light in between. So Dylan, please tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, praise be, everybody. Well, first of all, sorry that I got that last episode name wrong. I don't know what I was watching, but I guess I saw the title and it said it was the first episode. I was like, oh no. But yeah, this episode, like you said, it's a little depressing, but there's a silver lining at the end. So I like that, we have like a glitter of hope, like as a cliffhanger. So June and Serena, there is like this kind of like symmetry between them in this episode because they're both like making these like power moves because they both want to get their children back, right? Because Serena, as we saw in the last episode, she got held by the Canadian government, and then her son is now being kept by the Wheelers, and she's kind of like in this weird situation where she kind of feels like a handmaid. And then June, she's making like these like kind of like underground deals with Lawrence, but then like Tuello also kind of like steps in and lets her know what's really going on behind the scenes too. So what were your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, there was a lot. It was just a lot of back and forth between different types of it's a sticky situation too. It's very complicated and very toxic. There's a lot of back and forth on. So what happens is Lawrence, he's building what is it called, New Bethlehem or something like that. Yeah, and apparently that's supposed to introduce like this type of liberal section of Gilead, trying to even out, which I found really interesting because for the most part, all these people are conservatives in Gilead, but it's interesting because conservatism is fine. It's about you are walking down the road that right, and all these traditions. But what happens if the road is flooded, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where liberalism is introduced. And I think that Lawrence, he has it right, and I think that I feel bad for him because there was a little discussion later that June was trying to see if she should really go, and what guarantees does she have. And he's like basically like Oppenheimer in a way, mm-hmm. and he's just trying to make up for what he did. And it must be hard for Luke as well because Luke doesn't want to go. It's interesting because Luke is just trying. He's kind of like Moira in that sense. He has like this mentality where he just wants to live his life, and he has Nicole, which kudos to him. He's a good man because he's taking care. That's not his child, but he's trying to do his best, right? And there's this little strife going on now in the relationship because June, she can't let it go. She cannot let it go. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Serena situation. I think for everybody in this season, that was a shock to see Serena get a little bit of karma. So give me your thoughts on that because we do see her in jail now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Serena meets with Lawrence also, so I thought it was funny, like when I say that symmetry, because Lawrence did meet with June and Serena in this episode, and they're kind of like making their own like power plays. And basically what Lawrence told her was, we're gonna let you back into the Wheeler's house, but basically you're gonna have no rights to your baby other than just like breastfeeding. And I could sympathize with her in that moment because it's like, she's the mother, this is her child. Despite all the fucked up shit she did, she's still entitled to her child. And then June actually meets with Serena as well. And I like that whole conversation that she had. And I love when Serena was like, how would you deal with somebody that just wanted your child? Man. And she's like, did you really just say that to me? Uh-huh. So yeah, it's kind of like a slap in the face, and kind of like Serena's looking in the mirror now of like all the bad shit she's done. But I like that advice that June gave to her, because Serena was like, if you were me, June, what would you do? And June gives her the best advice. Just, take it step by step, just, smile and nod basically, but remember what you're fighting for, right? And then just do what you can behind the scenes, right? And I think Serena's going to take that to heart.
You know what I find interesting too in that conversation, June was saying kind of like plot your revenge in a way, right? And it just shows you the mentality that June has. It's like she's not good inside. She's strong, but her power isn't really love. I thought it was love but I think it's more hate. I think that's what it is. I think the love for her daughter, sure, but I think the hate
I
that she
think
has a
it's
little bit
honestly, I
inside of
think
her.
it's determination. I think like there's bits of like you said, hate, but there's also a bit of like hope, which we kind of saw like in this episode. So I think what separates June from Serena is that, like she said, like is actually like a better Christian in this situation because she actually like, despite everything that happened to her, she still has an innate, I wouldn't say forgiveness, but just like kind of like a respect for people. Whereas Serena, she kind of has like this, weird mentality. Like she preaches faith, but she's like very hypocritical because of all the stuff that she does. Um, so I think finally now she's realizing the kind of character that June is and what she went through, being a handmaid, and she's gonna use those skills and kind of like use that as like a weapon to get her baby back from the Wheelers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's complicated too because I thought at least Serena would be a handmaid. I thought that was like a very like fucked up thing, but it's just karma being a bitch. But instead, Serena does listen to June, and she goes back a little bit later at the end of the episode, to the Wheeler's house, and I could feel the tension. I felt mad too. I just hate that lady, Alanis Wheeler. I hate her so much. Just like she's kind of like this
Mhm.
microaggressive, like petite idiot.
Right.
And what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just glad they didn't set her up with the gynecologist. Like, oh,
Oh,
this
well,
is
you never
your
know.
this is your husband. Like,
To be continued. We'll
right?
see.
Who knows? That'd be so weird. But yeah, I like when she had to actually like hold back her anger when she was like, "Oh yeah, you might never be, you are completely off your mind."
Off your
Like,
mind.
and then we like see her fist like ball up, so she's actually like
Right.
like fighting the urge because she knows if she steps out of line again, she's gonna lose all contact with her baby forever, right?
Yeah.
So I think she has to like kind of like, eat her words a bit and just like bite her tongue to, not say anything that might like piss them off because she's in a delicate situation right now. They know that, she did some like, borderline traitorous acts when she killed Ezra. So she's kind of like high alert, and if she wants to kind of like slide back into like the spotlight and then eventually win her baby back, I think, like I said, like she has to follow like June's approach.
Well,
Um,
actually, she didn't kill Ezra, but now that you brought that up, I'm wondering if Ezra will come back in the mix. Now I'm thinking like, is that guy like gonna do something to like plot against her,
I thought he
or is
died, to be
she?
honest, or did he
No, he has
survive?
a Kevlar vest. No, he got up. He has Kevlar
Because
vest.
we
He's
didn't
the
see
one that
him.
told them.
Yeah,
No,
maybe I don't
he
know.
didn't die. Like I'm wondering if now he's gonna come back. I wonder if he's actually gonna be like that Nick character for her. That's interesting.
Oh, possibly.
Or probably he's just gonna be like the throwaway character. I don't know. I just feel like you could probably use him down the line or something. And I
Mhm.
wonder if we're gonna see more Serena too, because that looks like her cap. Unless they want to go through that whole storyline of like her just holding her tongue, just like June did.
Mhm.
Like I wonder, because I think now the more prominent thing is June and Luke returning to Gilead. Well, actually, probably not, because they're both mad at Tuello. Tuello says, "I can't tell you everything," but I think he did reveal something, and I think that's going to play a big part next season. Apparently, the U.S. I'm sorry, Canada is planning like this assault in Gilead, this type of raid, and I don't know who sent June. I think it probably was Lawrence that sent June like a little DVD or something like that, and they
Mhm.
see um,
Her
Hannah, which
location.
actually I'm gonna probably meme that later, which is funny. I'll probably make like a little green screen of them
Oh god.
reacting. I think that's a perfect meme. What did you think of that? Because we get some heavy details a little later on. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So, well, I like that, Tuello kind of like came in, and because June is kind of like having this conflict, and she talks to Luke about it, and I appreciated that conversation that she had because she's stuck. She's in like this kind of like weird moral choice. It's like, does she go back to Gilead because like what Lawrence is offering sounds good on
Right.
paper, but it's Gilead, right? So of course
Yeah.
they could backstab her at any moment, and she's vulnerable. And I think Luke had a good point too. He's like,
Right. Yep.
Gilead has basically destroyed our family. Like, why would you want to go back to these people, right? No matter like what
Right.
Lawrence says or what his intentions are, at the end of the day, he's a commander and he works for this government that has kind of like destroyed lives, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but she also goes to read it too, and I thought that was a great perspective. She's like, if I had the chance to get my daughter or son back, like I would do anything, right? So yeah, I feel like she might go back to Gilead for some reason. I think
Well,
she's gonna risk going back for Hannah.
but they did reveal at the end. That's what that. So she was getting apples or something, just trying to
Mhm.
get breath of fresh air. She's really frustrated, and Tuello calls and I say, "We found her, right?" Because they showed a DVD. They bring it to Tuello, and they found the complex where Hannah's held. And so they're gonna plan a raid because they need June. Because that's the complicated thing too. Is like if June goes back, more Americans will probably go back too, and it'll just
Mhm.
really look bad. Um,
Oh, that's right.
but
They
you know,
also said, like, she's kinda like this, like, symbol, I guess,
right?
right, for people. So if
Yeah.
something happens to her, like, the whole rebellion falls, right?
Uh-huh. And they bring that point of I forgot the president's name before Putin, but like you have that guy and then you have a lot of Putins or something like
Mhm.
that. And so that's an interesting take. That really is because it's
Mhm.
like that imagery that she's basically like this type of symbol. You can't really put her back there because then like everything's okay, okay, whatever.
Mhm.
And of course later on probably it'll be corrupted again. Gilead will probably be corrupted. And I see it as kind of like a cycle. Like let's say everything is okay, right? Let's say everything okay is like everything's okay right now where we're at, but like eventually it'll probably be shitty again. Like there's a
Mhm.
cycle of violence, there's a cycle of tragedy.
That's
So I
funny you
think to
mentioned
make
that. Yeah,
yeah,
because there's also, like, this cycle of, like, we see, like, the Canadians, they're kind of, like, starting to, like, get pissed
yeah,
off about all the refugees, so
uh-huh,
it's kind of like how America was, like, when all these wars happen, and they get refugees. So now the Canadians are becoming the Americans in a way, and they're
right.
kind of, like, adopting this, like, weird conservative ideology of, like, "Yeah, go back to your country," or whatever, right? And then, yeah, it's just interesting, like, to see, like, history repeats itself in a way.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't matter where you are too. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. I don't want June to go back. I'm kind of like I understand Hannah's like pretty much brainwashed. We've seen that in one of the other seasons, and Hannah's like really afraid of June. So I'm interested to see if the raid is successful and Hannah's brought back. Um, I think it's gonna be crazy. I think we're all gonna feel weird because Hannah's not gonna want to be with June and Luke. And I wonder if legally is Hannah forced to be with June and Luke? Like maybe there's gonna be something where they're gonna take her into foster care or something. In Canada is it gonna be even more tragic? Like this is
Mhm.
really toxic right now, and I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's crazy to think about too. Like, what if she actually like got married before the raid happened? So she's still
Oh shit!
technically like somehow like tied to this husband, and maybe like legally like she can't like separate because like she doesn't have custody or some reason. I don't know. It could be like interesting to play with. And
Well,
also
here's the
we.
thing though.
Oh yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but here's the thing though, if they do a raid, that's illegal to begin with, right? You can't just go do a raid and it's like, boom, we're gonna raid Gilead, right? This is like an
Mm-hmm.
act of war. So like I'm thinking after the raid, war begins and they cut all ties with Gilead. So I think now it's gonna be like this thing where it just escalated too much. You can't go back. So do you think Hannah will die? Now I'm thinking about will Hannah die?
Yeah, so at the end we did see Hannah and she's like picking like, fruit and stuff, and then we hear like the sound of like a chopper like overhead. I don't think so. I think they have to plan it strategically because the whole point of the operation is to get the family members out. That's why they're planning this like so like carefully because they wanna reconnect like the families together. So if there's collateral damage, it looks bad on like Canada's part too. So um I have a feeling the operation is gonna, like, fail somehow, and maybe that's how like, maybe June is, like, forced at that point to go back to Gilead, but what are your
That
predictions?
sucks. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks, man. Um,
It wouldn't be crazy if, like, either like, because we didn't even see Aunt Lydia in this episode, and she's kinda changing too. Everybody's changing in this season, so I wonder if, like, either Serena or Aunt Lydia will somehow be involved in getting Hannah back to June.
maybe Aunt Lydia more so. That's what I'm thinking. Like, are they gonna do more with Serena? Because Serena now is just all about like her son. Like, is she gonna really? Is there more to do with Serena? Like legally, no one respects her.
Mhm.
She can't do shit. She's basically in June's situation when she was a handmaid. She is like a handmaid. Aunt Lydia, on the other hand, I wonder. That's a good point because maybe Commander Lawrence would like talk to Aunt Lydia or something. Maybe he's involved somehow. I don't know. I think it's something where it's like we don't know all the details just yet, and it's gonna be a shock to us around the season finale. Like we still have 2 more episodes, I believe, left.
I think Aunt Lydia is
So
actually going to be pissed at Lawrence because if she finds about New Bethlehem, she's going to be like, oh, well, then why are my handmaids still forced to live like this, but all these other women and children get to live like their lives freely? I think there's going to be like a split divide in like, what the politics of Gilead is going to be.
or it could just be a civil war all around, because I'm thinking, all right, so if they're living in that section of New Bethlehem, then they're basically elite, right? They don't have to endure, they
Right.
don't have to suffer all of this. So like there might be like some type of civil strife, civil war. And Canadians too, there's already like shit going down. It sounds kind of like outside sounds like when the Phillies just won,
Right.
and
They're
everyone's
climbing poles and
celebrating.
shit.
Yeah, yeah. So we said our pieces about that. Now, what are your final predictions, final thoughts, and rating?
Predictions. Oh, I just forgot about Nick. Because Nick could also be, a big factor in getting Hannah out too, because he kind of like is helping June too.
Mhm.
Um, for Serena, yeah, I think what you said earlier, it's gonna be like mainly focused on her dealing with the Wheelers and trying to get her baby back. But maybe eventually down the road, she'll find her way back to June. Um, yeah, it really depends on like how this operation goes. If it's successful, then maybe Hannah will come back. But how will she react to June because she doesn't really recognize her now? Um, and I think Lawrence has like a bigger scheme that he's not revealing yet. I think Bethlehem is just like part one of his bigger plan. Maybe it's a trap. Maybe it's like that's how they get all the women back into like all the refugees that escape.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is like kind of like the bait, right? Um, but yeah, overall, I would give this episode a 9 out of 10. How would you rate it?
Oh, I love this episode, man. I loved everything we watched today. I'll give this a 10 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was really like I was getting mad tea. Like it was just so complicated, you know? And I love that about Handmaid's Tale. And it makes me question things too. And I feel bad for Lawrence because yeah, he did most of this, a lot of this, but he's just trying to make amends. And can he ever be forgiven? I don't know. I feel like he's actually going to die at one point by the Canadian government, actually. And so it's like, the governments are really good because they're using violence. And it's interesting when Lawrence said, well, if you have June and you have your wife here, now you have both women. It's like, wait, hold on a second. Both
Right.
women. It's like, you can't, you're not really away from sin no matter what. It's
Right.
like, what's happening here? And maybe even Serena will be raped down the line or something by one of the Wheelers. I don't know. Some shit like that. Oh, you could give birth. Oh, well, have my son this time. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I don't think anybody is really good, to be honest with you. I just think everyone's really selfish, and I don't know what the outcome will be. I'm hoping for something good, but I think next episode's it's gonna be like this revelation episode where like, oh yeah, this op probably went bad or something. I hope that she does get Hannah back. I want to see her back in Canada. I'm really interested to see that, because again, we're near the end. So I would definitely rate that a 9 out of 10. And everybody, that's our review for Handmaid's Tale episode 8. Now, if you guys made it to the end, please remember to like and also check out our other playlists. As I always say, your help is greatly appreciated. We have a lot of content coming up soon. And Dylan, please take us away.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in for this review of Handmaid's Tale episode 8. If you're already, or if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. You can check out our other content as well. Thank you to our 91 subscribers already. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you for also getting us our community tab so you can engage with our podcast more. You can get updates on some of our newer videos. We've got a lot of content this week, guys. This is like the most we've ever done, like back-to-back videos. So please check out our other content if you haven't already. But yeah, you can also check us on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify as well. And you can check out our socials on Instagram as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Until then, praise be.
May the Lord open. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.